Hey there, I'm Further Reading. Today we're talking about happiness and stress in Dwarf Fortress. One disclaimer before we begin, which I'll say is Walter, because Walter is too cute to be angry at. Throughout this video, I will use the terms memories and thoughts interchangeably, which is incorrect. I'm only talking about thoughts here. In Dwarf Fortress, a memory is when you could re-experience a thought that you already had. I don't want to re-record the entire video, so this will do instead. Anyway, enjoy the video. Like with a lot of the systems in Dwarf Fortress, this has a very complicated backend, but in terms of how a player can interact with it and manage it, it isn't as difficult as you would expect. To basically summarize how it all works, if you open up a dwarf, or open up Zuntier over here, you'll see that he has a bunch of thoughts down here. Some are negative, some are positive. What happens is whenever they get a negative thought, it adds a number to a stress rating for the dwarf. Whenever they get a happy thought, it removes a number from the stress rating. Also, over time, the stress rating will also go down. The rate at which it goes down and the rate at which these memories impact it will depend on some of the personality features of your dwarves. The key to making sure that you avoid having dwarves sitting here in this unhappy part for too long, or even try to minimize how much can be over here, is by creating opportunities for happy memories to occur and avoiding negative memories to occur. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by creating a mist generator, like I have here in my little tavern/barracks. This one is a more localized mist generator. What's happening here is these pumps are pumping water onto these statues in a circle. Whenever the water hits the statue, it creates a spray of water, and that cheers up all the dwarves. They get these memories. Here we go. She just got content because she was near a waterfall. I tend to either make these small ones here like so, or in this case, because I have a river up here, what I did was, if I scroll down a bit, I actually mined into the river and I took the water down to this main central staircase, and then we have mist generators caused by the water hitting these grates on these floors. And because all my dwarves have to pass through these floors to get to the bedrooms or to get to the tavern or get to the work area, they're always seeing these, which means they're very commonly getting these memories about being close to a waterfall. This trick alone is actually one of the most powerful things you can do for happiness in the game. In fact, if you wanted to, you could stop watching the video right now, just do this, and you'll probably never really have many happiness issues. But please don't. I've got more tips, and I would love it if you could watch those tips as well. So another way to kind of passively increase the happiness of your dwarves is just by having nice rooms and nice stuff all over the place. So for example, this door here into my tavern is an exceptional door. Some of these tables are exceptional, some of them are masterwork. There you go. We got these masterwork tables, and sometimes when the dwarves walk past them, they'll go, ooh, that's a nice table, that's an exceptional table, and it'll cheer them up. In addition, because this is a legendary dining room, because it's a high value room, if you want to learn more about making high value rooms, check out my high value room video. Although I'm not using the exploits from this is just naturally a high value room because it's so big and full of engravings with a bunch of artifacts in there. They're going to dine in a legendary dining room, and that is also going to cheer them up. If their bedroom is really nice as well, they'll get happy memories from sleeping in a very nice bedroom. They like eating high quality food, obviously. Another thing when it comes to food and drink is they like having variety in their food and drink. You try to give them a mix, so try to have a variety of drinks. And in terms of meals, you want to have lavish meals, because lavish meals use multiple ingredients, and that way it feels more varied to the dwarf to be eating all these different kinds of meals. And if the dwarf likes a certain type of meat or a certain type of vegetable, if there is 4 ingredients in it, then maybe it's more likely that they'll be eating their favorite food a lot more, which will increase the stress reduction from eating a fine dish. One quick thing I want to talk about is needs. You'll see here this unmet needs section. A lot of new players in particular get very focused on this section and try to make sure all the needs are met to prevent your dwarves being unhappy. This isn't actually how this section works. When a dwarf has all their needs met, they will work faster, and having some of these needs unmet can create unhappy memories. So for example, he's restless and lonely. Here, this is because of his unmet needs. However, a lot of these negative memories actually have very little impact on the overall stress level. A good example of this is Zuntier here. Zuntier, one of my elite mercs dwarves. You'll see loads of unmet needs, and look here, He's uneasy because he can't acquire something. He wants to pray. He wants to practice a craft. You know, so he has all these unhappy memories, right? So unhappy thoughts, I mean, from these unmet needs. However, if I go here and I find him in my list here, you can see he's actually at maximum happiness. He is ecstatic right now. Putnam herself has stated on Reddit that the amount of stress they gain from being unable to pray is basically negligible. And through testing, most players have confirmed as well that a lot of that unhappiness to come from these unmet needs aren't really impacting the overall happiness level of the dwarves. So you can pretty much ignore this section entirely and focus on other means if you want to make sure your dwarves are happy. So when it comes to engaging with the system a bit more directly, a good thing to look at is your personality tab. And I'm going to explain this by showing you a big mistake I made and how that mistake snowballed over time. And that's Sanic. Sanic is my militia commander. Sanic is always either in this level of unhappiness or this level of unhappiness. The reason for that is because she is in a constant state of internal rage. She wasn't originally. She experienced some trauma 9 years ago in the second year of my fort, and since then she's always just been angry all the time.
I'm always angry.
I could have avoided this because if I had read down a little lower, you could see here, she doesn't handle stress well. So because she doesn't handle stress well, then being in stressful situations through being in combat all the time. In fact, the main way I leveled these guys up is by tying a ant to a pole and having them just murder the ant again and again and again. These guys have killed quite a lot. Because of all these like mass executions and just watching all this death occur all the time, it really stressed her out, and because she doesn't handle stress well, it stressed her out much faster than everybody else. Then when she experienced trauma, because she was so stressed and because she doesn't handle stress well, she actually ended up having a personality change from that, and now she's angry all the time. In addition, it says here she actively avoids exciting or stressful situations, again after experiencing trauma, which is difficult because she's the militia commander, so every situation she's in is exciting or stressful. To kind of show more how this is snowballed, down here we can see that she values peace over war, and she finds those that develop skill with weapons and fighting distasteful. She's surrounded by people who have skill with weapons and fighting. That's what she does. I have her set to constant training. That's all she does. That's all everyone she does. Everyone she socializes with are all people who are like legendary combat dwarves. So she's talking to people that she distastes all the time. And again, that is just further impacting the issues with her unhappiness. So when you've got dwarves like this who are just super unhappy all the time and they are at risk of going into a tantrum, how do you deal with that? The first easiest way to do it is just exile them. You hit this button, you exile them, and they leave. Then they become somebody else's problem. That, you know, is fine in some cases. I don't want to do it with Sanic, because Sanic, you know, is a legendary military dwarf. I don't want to get rid of her. But in other cases, if someone who's a bit more replaceable, totally just exile them and just get a new dwarf in. One of the best ways if you want to manage a bunch of unhappy dwarves and fix them for a long period of time is through something that's called making a Dwarven Therapy squad. A Dwarven Therapy squad is just a military squad. You can create a brand new squad, give it to somebody and fill it full of dwarves. You don't have to give them a uniform, just fill it full of dwarves and then give them a barracks and have them train that barracks. When they're training, they're going to be learning about stuff. Sometimes they'll be teaching stuff and he's going to be improving. So they are going to be getting happy memories just from training alone. But this is only like the first level of the Dwarven Therapy squad. The second level is to put that squad inside a tavern. I've mentioned this before in one of my other tips videos, but this is actually a much cleaner example of the benefit of putting your barracks inside a tavern. You see up here, Dusum recited Sea Betrayal at Supper Figures, and he enjoyed doing that. If I go to my dwarves over here, you can see that they're interested after watching a performance, and if I go through you'll see some of them. There we go. He saw the dwarf recite Sea Betrayal at Supper, so even though he was doing his drills, these guys are on constant training, he was able to see Dusum do his performance and he became interested and got a happy thought from that performance. Now, you'll see most of these guys actually have this watching performance one. Over here, we've got Cowood, the bookkeeper. He's currently reciting a poem, and he's doing it right next to him. So when he finishes reciting the poem, they are going to get another happy memory. Here, Maine, you can see here that she's socializing, and she was talking with a friend and an acquaintance. If I check up here, not you, is it with you? There we go. Vaughn is talking to a friend. So you actually, Cybrick was speaking with you. talking with acquaintance, that is Zuntir. So Zuntir is also talking to Rain. Or you're talking with friend as well. So it actually could be maybe you're actually Rain's friend. Doesn't tell you like who the friend is. But basically Rain's been here talking to people and creating happy memories. Again, even though they're currently busy, they're still able to socialize and get happy memories from socializing. They can do multiple things at once. There's one last thing I want to talk about, and that is in the personality traits, doesn't care about anything anymore. This is a trait that some people get after they've experienced a bunch of trauma, and I can't really get a confirmation on what this actually does. You would think that by the way it's phrased, they're basically dead inside. Nothing will make them happy or nothing will make them sad. But that's not the case. If we go to our thoughts, you'll see that Voidcraft has a mixture of negative and positive thoughts. What she does get, specifically, I know for a fact this is going to do, is don't care about dead bodies. You can even scroll down here, you'll see they have no strong feelings about dead bodies, but they can still get happy memories and sad memories from other sources. What's interesting is if you go to this fella, Moral, and go to his thoughts, you see that he doesn't feel anything about being able to cry something, for being away. So like, there's a lot of stuff he doesn't feel anything about either, on top of the dead bodies. But he still feels happy memories and stuff. So some people think that it'll maybe, while it will completely remove the impacts of seeing a bunch of dead bodies, that the other memories as well can be reduced. However, I find it's pretty rare that anything that isn't dead body related will become a didn't feel anything. I have seen it happen for positive memories as well for other dwarves, but it's pretty rare. Usually people who have this trait, it'll only impact dead bodies. It is possible to farm this trait on your dwarves. However, I find you don't really need to farm that. Most dwarves will end up getting it anyway, just through the natural violence of living in a dwarven fort. But also stuff like the Dwarven Therapy and the Mist Generator will do far more to help you manage your stress levels than people having this trait. So yeah, that was kind of a general overview of the happiness system. Like I said, a lot of this stuff isn't very transparent to the player, but through having a Mist Generator, engaging in Dwarven Therapy, and having nice stuff around your fort, you should basically be able to avoid your dwarves getting so unhappy that they're going to be having tantrums. I hope you found this guide useful, and if you did, feel free to like and subscribe. If you want to watch more content like this, you can check out any of the videos on screen right now, or find me on Twitch, where I stream Dwarf Fortress and games like it pretty regularly. Hopefully, I'll see you soon.